WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, I'll tell you something. We do encourage you to like and share them on social media because it's time for the science of caring, Careology. And Roxy's guest host tonight is none other than science fiction horror author, Mysterious Milo.
And Carebag's mission is simple. It's to provide access to proper hygiene to those in need by spreading wellness throughout the community. Rated a platinum level charity by GuideStar, Carebag is an all-volunteer driven organization that fills the gaps not covered by federal assistance by providing feminine products, baby diapers, adult diapers, soap, razors, shampoo, wipes, and other vital hygiene items through their mobile shower units, their mobile hygiene pantry, and their Happy Bottoms project, covering bottoms of all ages.
Happy Bottoms Project?
Yes, the Happy Bottoms project, where providing people in need who need diapers, whether they're kids or older
Young or
individuals,
old.
it makes a lot of sense.
Oh,
a lot of folks who are not receiving assistance don't realize that these items are not covered most of the time.
Yeah, everybody wants to feed the homeless folks, but there's no other organization out there that's collecting and distributing personal hygiene products. That's an amazing, amazing concept.
That's right, and that's really why Carebag is in a class of its own on the Treasure Coast and does such an amazing job. So just this show is really important in that the Careology show likes to share information for people on the Treasure Coast about a variety of topics. And so let's go ahead and dive into tonight's topic. Can we have it all? A discussion of issues facing the modern day woman. So I've got a really cool trivia, and you don't know the answer to this because I haven't told you the answer yet, Cliff.
Really? Now, what if I known it from just general knowledge?
Then you know it. Okay, where did the term having it all originate?
Ooh, sounds like an advertisement slogan.
Right? It's very close. It actually, and I'm going to share this with our Facebook team here, it's actually from a book that came out in 1982, Helen Gurley Brown, Having It All. And it really discussed the whole notion of being able to be a career woman, a wife, a partner, a mother, and to be able to do all of these things very well. But before we really dig into that topic, we cannot ignore, Cliff, what happened on Sunday in the Oscars.
Oh, Will Smith smacking the fire off of Chris Rock's face.
Yes.
It's like, wow.
This is a multi-layered subject, and we're going to really distill a couple of items from it. And, of course, a lot of people have been talking about it. The internet is absolutely divided on what it means, what should happen. But I would like to first talk about the ideas that come from it from a 10,000-foot view. And that is, I am not surprised that this happened during the same time frame where we have increased violence on airplanes, where we have increased incidents of road rage, where we literally have a zero tolerance that's just permeating our society after 2.5 years of lockdowns and mandates and people feeling powerless over their situations.
And the stress that goes along with it.
And the stress that goes along with it. And the one thing I just encourage our listeners to really look at in this situation, one of the things I don't see people talking about was when Regina Hall, who was one of the 3 hosts of the evening, she was one of the wonderful comedians along with Wanda Sykes as well as Amy Schumer. And Regina Hall had made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith earlier in the evening. And she made a reference to the rumors going on about their open marriage. And I saw at that time before the incident happened, and I happen to watch the Oscars live every single year. I actually was a voting member of the Academy when I was an active screenwriter and a member of the Writers Guild years ago. But one of the things I saw, Will Smith had a face when Regina Hall made that comment. And he was not pleased, but nobody made a big deal of it. He just made a face. He did say something. It wasn't picked up, but I noticed it the first time. So when this event happened in real time, I was just as shocked as everyone else. And for those of you who think this may be a setup, I assure you, no man in their right mind would risk a $350 million net worth movie career at the height of their career getting a Best Actor statue, which is the dream of nearly every actor, I'll tell you, as well as writer, myself included. No one in their right mind would do what he did unless he was under some sort of severe stress.
Well, he's also a great role model for kids. Now, is this going to teach the children some bad habits?
Absolutely. And it really, there's a lot here, like I said, to unpack and how people interpret this. But if you did watch the event live and you watched the emotional mumble jumble of him in his acceptance speech, something struck me, and that was Will Smith's 53 years old. And I felt like what I saw was an emotional meltdown. It was the new midlife crisis. I'm 50 years old, and I'm having moments where I'm completely feeling like I'm going to lose it. I was at Home Goods trying to pick white towels for my bathroom, and there was a huge wall of probably about 60 different brands of white towels, and I, in that moment, was so overwhelmed, could not figure out which ones I wanted. The price points were the same. It was just one of these, it was like one of those moments where you just feel like there's a stacking event and I cannot take one more item on my to-do list. And for Will Smith and a lot of people, I know a lot of celebrities very well. I used to be very good friends with Britney Spears. Kevin Bacon is the one who really convinced my husband to marry me. I had the pleasure of getting to know a lot of A-list celebrities. And the one thing that I have to say is that most people don't know is that all of the tabloids, all of the rumors, all of the smears on social media does hurt them. Oh, yeah. Now, you have some of them who are really great at just shutting it off and not looking at it, not reading it, keeping it out of their homes. I mean, Madonna famously didn't have a television set in her home for many years, so her children wouldn't be exposed to it. But it's true. They're human beings. They are people just like you and me who grew up just like you and me most of the time. They struggled. They worked minimum wage jobs before they became big stars, in many cases. And all of a sudden, there is a double-edged sword with fame. And of course, the money comes along with it and all the privileges. I'm not by any means trying to paint this as a dark existence, but there comes a point where it was just one more slap in the face, one more criticism that Will Smith apparently could not take. And I'm not condoning his activity. It's truly shocking, but at least there is some good coming out of this, and that is the conversation about midlife crisis in the 2020s, what it looks like, and more so, let's talk about alopecia. And that is the autoimmune disease that is kind of the center of this controversy, where Jada Pinkett Smith has lost all of her hair. She's been very open about it. And alopecia, according to WebMD, is an autoimmune disorder that causes one's hair to come out, often in clumps the size and shape of a quarter. Now, the fun thing about this is that with this autoimmune disease, of course, your immune system attacks your body. So with alopecia, it's attacking your hair follicles. But what gets me and totally aggravates me with all of the autoimmune diseases is that doctors do not know why it happens. They think it's something that may be genetic and passed down, but they do not have any real cause for why these things happen. And that's what I want to talk about. Can we have it all? One of the things about autoimmune diseases is that they're perceived by women to be the enemy of beauty. They often ravage beauty, such as Cushing's syndrome, fibromyalgia, Graves' disease, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis. Myself, I've had to deal with Hashimoto's, which is a low thyroid function, which has drastically changed my body image, and having to deal with, not making significant changes in your exercise and eating habits, and to experience significant weight gain. Cushing syndrome, as I mentioned, is an overproduction of cortisol that happens in the pituitary gland or actually in the adrenal gland. And you look at, there are people who are gaining 100, 200 pounds without changing their diet or exercise, completely changing their life. And of course, we've got cancer and chemotherapy. So a lot of beauty is reliant on good health. And in many cases, it's out of our control. And so the only thing we can control is our reaction to it. Now, of course, there are factors that we can control as far as living a good life and staying away from alcohol and drugs and cigarettes and such. We know that. Nobody needs to get into that. But when there are things that we are dealt that are truly out of our control, especially if they attack our femininity, they attack our sense of beauty, our sense of identity, our sense of who we are. Those are the things that we really have to be careful about and not letting them take over our lives and destroying our sense of self. And one thing I found so fascinating in this whole issue with the Oscars is that just a couple of days before the Oscars, Jada Pinkett Smith had released a TikTok video where she said she was loving her bald head and, quote, didn't give two craps what others thought about her appearance anymore. She's been open about her struggle with this autoimmune disease. She's been open with the fact that she struggled with losing her hair and having issues with her losing her, quote unquote, what she perceived at one time as losing her looks. But she had triumphed over it. And she made this TikTok video, which, and I don't know this for a fact, maybe Chris Rock now thought this was okay territory. And for the record, I do think G.I. Jane is actually, a bad butt. I think she's like, that's a really powerful, if somebody called me G.I. Jane, I think that would be great. But again, it didn't land well. It was obvious it hurt her feelings. But why I want to bring this up is because it's a great reminder to us all that, like grief, confidence comes in waves. And I want to talk about that for a second. Confidence comes in waves. And there are times where we feel 100% triumphant over a tragedy or a trauma in our past. And then we have that vulnerable moment. And I think that's what I saw in Jada Pinkett Smith. She was vulnerable in that moment where somebody called her out in the front of the Oscars about her hair, and she didn't take it well. And it's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it is okay to have that moment where it hits and it hurts, because that moment will pass and we will get to the next stage. And we have to understand that confidence is not a permanent thing. And it is something that can ebb and can flow. And it is perfectly fine for us to enjoy it and to roll with it when we feel it, make good decisions about ourselves when we're feeling confident. And when we're hitting a low, it's okay. Probably not a good time to make a decision. Probably not a good time to take action on something that we may be hesitant to take action on. But again, that was a really great reminder of what can happen as a woman.
Wow. And Will Smith, of all people, I still can't get over how such a great role model for kids, and everything he's done in his whole career so far has really made him a star amongst the kids. And a lot of kids want to be like Will Smith.
That's right.
And the problem with that is yet to be seen, because, you've got everybody who gets offended about everything.
Yes.
Every little thing. Is everybody going to have to now be very, very extremely careful what they say?
Right. Is comedy dead? When I saw that happen, I asked myself, does this mean comedy is dead? Is the Comedy Central roast no longer a thing? Will it be something of the past?
There will never be another Don Rickles type of comedian.
That's right. Or Joan Rivers.
Oh my goodness.
The list goes on and on about people who made careers and where celebrities laughed along with them. Saturday Night Live, SNL parodies. We really have to ask ourselves, is this something that serves us as a society, or is being able to laugh about ourselves something we want to keep? So
we want to keep that, because, hey, when you can't find anybody else to make fun of, since you can't make fun of anybody, it's quite appropriate to go ahead and make fun of yourself in the name of comedy, of course.
That's right. Absolutely.
But now it's really touchy to start to include others in those stories now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this event really speaks to something bigger, and that is the 6 human needs universally, no matter what culture, what ethnicity we come from. all over the world. And this is something from Tony Robbins. I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. Do you know that?
I do now.
I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. Read all of his books, go to his events. And one thing he talks about is the 6 human needs. And I'll go ahead and list them just very quickly. Certainty, variety, love/connection, a sense of significance, growth, and contribution. And the one thing, and everybody needs all of these things at different degrees. So for some people, they don't need as much love and connection, but they need significance.
Need a balance.
They need to feel like they're important. Mm-hmm. And there are both positive and negative ways of achieving and meeting these needs. So for example, if I want to write a best-selling children's book and really want to be the most amazing children's author, I can get significance from that. But I can also grab a gun and get 10 hostages at the local bank, and all of a sudden I am the most important person in those 10 people's lives. So significance can be negative and positive. Our need for variety can be negative and positive, etc. But what we are all experiencing because of the pandemic and COVID is a lack of certainty. The goalpost keeps moving. The rules keep changing. People can't plan trips like they used to, knowing they're going to be there. They don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Their jobs are in jeopardy. Their situations are constantly changing. And the only way for us to navigate through a very, very tumultuous time of change is to have faith. And I say that in a secular way. Faith, for some people, can be a connection, a religious connection, which is wonderful, but you can also have secular faith, and that is believing that the outcome will eventually be okay. Life is always happening for us, not to us. I'll say that again. Life is happening for us, not to us. And one of my favorite phrases in Spanish is no hay mal que por bien no venga. No hay mal que por bien no venga. And that means there is no harm for where good doesn't come from it. Or as we know in English, every cloud has a silver lining. And just to illustrate that for somebody who might need to hear that, today's a really special day. Today, 5 years ago, exactly today, on March 29th, 2017, both my husband and I were at the exact same courthouse on the exact same day, only 2 hours apart, divorcing spouses who had left us for younger people. So I'll say that again. So we were in the same place at the same time, didn't know each other, and we were both divorcing people, and both of us didn't want to get divorced. I know I didn't want to get divorced. I was happily married to a man who impregnated a 27-year-old bartender at the Quality Inn. And he had to marry her, and he left me. And I was devastated. But 10 weeks later, I actually found my current husband. And 18 months later, we got married. And we are a million times better match for each other. And truly, truly love and respect and honor each other. And it's just fascinating because that's one of many stories that people have about in the moment, it's almost impossible to see that something good will come out of it. But almost always, literally almost always, there is just something that can be turned good out of even the worst of circumstances.
Well, there's a lot of depression out there as a result of no results from the problems that we getting locked down, locked in, locked up pretty much.
Right. And, today's day 34 of the Ukrainian war with Russia, and our hearts and our love and our prayers are going out to the people involved in this, as the Ukrainian people who are the victims, the Russian people who are not signing up for this entire mess. But somehow, some way, there will be something good that comes out of this. If nothing else, watching Zelensky be the hero that we all needed to see, Churchill in a t-shirt, I mean, that's fascinating. I've been watching his show. He played a president. He's the Tom Hanks of the Ukraine. He's a comedian. And he played in a series where he actually was a school teacher who becomes president of Ukraine. So talk about, oh my goodness, life imitating art, art imitating life. It's a fascinating show, and there's this really creepy scene. It's actually in the first episode of first season where he is elected president, and they're trying to buy him new clothes and get him to look the part. And they show him a series of watches, and they say, well, and he says, "Which watch do you want?" And he goes, "Well, which one does Putin wear?" And it was just, I couldn't even believe that this was happening. And it was, again, it's on Netflix if you want to check it out. So with that said, there'll be something great that comes out of it. It really will. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little break, but when we come back, we're going to get into and dig into our topic, having it all. And we're going to talk about women who left the workforce due to COVID and what you can do as a working mom to be the best that you can be.
If you could reimagine the way you buy a car, what would you do? Make it simple, make negotiations disappear, demand transparency, then experience amazing at your Treasure Coast Lexus dealer. Car Buying Simplified. Treasure Coast Lexus is a proud sponsor of Careology. Every Tuesday at 6:05 p.m., caring and supporting for our community. Car Buying Simplified. Check out your Treasure Coast Lexus dealer. Why call Two Men in a Truck of the Treasure Coast? You want to move your business without moving a single meeting? You want it handled with no fuss. Lots of stuff, no time to move it? You need the pros that care. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck of the Treasure Coast. Family owned and operated franchise. Call 772-236-0827. 772-236-0827. Movers who care. Visit Two Men in a Truck, TreasureCoast.com.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Welcome back to Careology, the science of caring. Milo is your guest host this week. Welcome back, Milo.
Hello, hello, beautiful people. Today we are talking about Can We Have It All? A discussion about issues facing the modern woman. Can we have a job? Can we have a fulfilling career, a wonderful relationship, be a fantastic parent or aunt or uncle even?
Will you ever get equal pay?
Equal pay, all these issues that have just really been boiling.
One right after the other, too.
Yeah, one right after the other. And, you know, it's just fascinating. The Equal Rights Amendment just died years ago. And we never really got around to talking about these things. But I think it's COVID. COVID really brought this to the forefront. Speaking of this wonderful statistic, which shocked me, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that 63% of all jobs that were lost during the pandemic were previously filled by women. And now, where we are as of February 2022, nearly 2 million women have officially left the workforce. 2 million women are staying home. And the number one reason for this, of course, is daycare and virtual schooling issues, and needing to parent first, and that being our primary responsibility of all the different roles that we hold. And this was so interesting. I can see why it happened, and I could see how the breakdown of caregiving really affected women. And we'll talk a little bit about that in more detail. But I wanted to talk about something that I've shared with some of my friends and family. And this is something about women in the workforce that's fascinating. Years ago, I was a CEO of a technology startup. I didn't start off as a writer, a book writer. Actually, that was something that I did in college. And then I was actually CEO of a startup called 2zillion.com, which was a filtered internet service provider that we sold off to a Cisco company early on. And I had the privilege of being retired at 27 and then becoming quickly unretired after the market crash. But what happened then is that when I was working as this role, I had the privilege and opportunity to interview people, hundreds and hundreds of people, for very important jobs. And I found something very different in the way that men and women interviewed. For example, when a woman would sit down in front of me, because I am female, the first thing she would do was try to connect with me with something to make her seem very honest. So if she had any issues in her life, she would say it right away. within the first 2 to 3 minutes of the interview. So, for example, a woman would come in, she would be interviewing for a position, and she would say, I just want to let you know, I care for my mother who has stage 4 cancer, and I'll have to leave for her chemotherapy treatments at 4 o'clock every Friday. This would come out of her mouth in the first 5 seconds. Or I'm a mother of 3, I'm a single mother of 3, I need to pick up my children by 5:30 every day. Whatever it was that was their weakest point from an employer standpoint, they would tell me immediately. The men, however, would come in and immediately show me what they were made of for the job. They would talk about their skills, their experience, and only at the very, very end or during negotiations for salary would they then tell me, I'm a single dad, I need to pick up my children at 5:30, or I'm caring for my elderly father, and every Friday I need to take him to his chemotherapy appointments. And this was universal, that women lead with their problems and men would always lead with their strengths. And to anybody out there, especially women who are looking for a job right now, please take this to heart. Do not think that the woman on the other side of the table is your friend. She is your employer or your potential boss first, and you need to be there and lead with your strengths first, and there will always be a moment to talk about the exceptions later. Get them to fall in love with you first, and then you can talk about the logistics last.
There you go.
That's Milo's tip of the day.
It's like when you're going to buy a used product, you want to make sure that it works. Verify.
That's right. And, a great book for women who are in the field, Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, talks about a little bit of those types of things, but that's my own personal experience. I wanted to talk again about working moms, and I love some of these tips. This is from a website called fairygodbosses.com, and it's 10 tips for juggling working motherhood. And the first one that they share is write everything down, especially your to-do list. And I can't imagine a mom who's out there juggling 1, 2, 3, 5 children and a job, no matter what type of job she has, who doesn't have some sort of schedule. Yeah. I know my son and I we share a schedule on Google, and these are, if you have access to the internet and you have a smartphone, these are all free. And it's not the only one. Apple also has a shareable calendar, or any type of app that has a shareable calendar. But it's really important that your children and you and your spouse are communicating, so that you have one of your children who has a soccer practice that's changed or a band recital, and your husband is trying to figure out a date where he can bring the boss over for dinner, or you're trying to find some time to go out with the girls for a mocktail or something. You have to have a calendar where everyone is involved and can edit and can view it. That is key to having a sane life.
So you need a cell phone regardless.
You need a cell phone, and there are ways to get a cell phone. And if not, you can use paper too. If you have a big, huge calendar that you hang in your living room, or maybe a whiteboard or something along those lines, a cork board, just so that everybody's on the same page. It will change everything. I know too many people where everyone maintains their own calendar, and then they expect others, like kids, to update them. You know your children are never going to update you if there's been a change to anything. Or they'll forget to tell you about the award ceremony. Or they're going to forget to tell you about this, that, and the other. A venue change. By being plugged into your children's calendar at all times and they into yours, it can really make a huge difference and make your life much easier.
Our phones are so amazing now. They're not just a phone. They're a camera. They're a calendar. They're everything that we need in our daily life. And by golly, we get addicted to them too. Sometimes you ever just want to shut it off?
Yes, and nothing good has ever come out of that.
Well, I don't know. Now I've got a system. I don't allow the spammers and the telemarketers to get through to me.
Well, that's good.
I've got the biggest contact list anybody's ever had. I've always updated my Google every time I've got a new phone. Big old contact list. I know who's going to call me, and when it's not somebody that I'm sure of, if I don't see it on the caller ID, I don't answer it.
Right.
And I try to tell them, don't leave a voicemail, because the volume of my phone won't let me hear it. I can't hear it.
Right.
Leave a text. Let me know who you are if you're a long-lost friend or something like that. But it kind of works in a way because it's a little easier on the mind without all that control that my phone had over me.
It is. And then I remove the notifications off of my phone and my computer. So if I'm working on a project, I don't have a dinging bell telling me with some Pavlovian response of, oh, stop what you're doing. Go check your email.
What a friend of yours had for lunch just now.
Right. Turn those notifications off. The best way to do it is if you're on a desktop, there is a little icon on the upper right-hand corner, says notifications. Yep. You can hit do not disturb. And what I do is I'll do not disturb 9:59 p.m. to 10 p.m. The next day, or however it is, so that you're basically hitting mostly the 24 hours, and that way your schedule will not own you. Of course, speaking of making a schedule and having a schedule, it's important to schedule everything. If you are juggling a life where you really want to have it all, you have to schedule your yoga. You have to schedule your lunch times, your break times, your downtime, your relaxation time. Another great tip here, I love this one, number 3 from fairygodbosses.com, is do not clean your own house. Now, this doesn't apply to everyone, but I love having someone else come and be able to clean my house. Here's why. I feel like I'm contributing to the economy. I am allowing somebody who does it much better than I do to come in and to help me get organized. And it just feels so great to come home to a clean house, whether it's once every 2 weeks, once a month. There are some people out there who really, really love doing this. And if you're not great at it, please outsource it. And you have to think about your time. If you make $25 an hour, is it worth your time to spend 8 hours on a Sunday afternoon cleaning your own home? Or can you hire an expert to come in for $75 or $100 to knock it out in 2 hours? So you really have to think about your time is valuable. How much is your time worth? And really look at your salary. Really look and add a premium to it, especially if it's on the weekend. You're taking time away from your children if you're spending all day Sunday cleaning your own home. The real exception to this, of course, is anyone who loves doing it, anyone who finds it therapeutic. And if you are really, really lacking funds, there's another thing you can do. You can barter for it. You can trade. You can have somebody clean your house for you, and then you can go in and maybe you can cut their hair if you're a hairstylist. So there are ways around this and being resourceful. Of course, making sure you exercise, getting sleep is number 5. I love this, getting a haircut on company time. Make sure that you're doing all of your errands during lunch breaks if you can. Also, and this is an interesting point, please do 2 hours of work on Sunday, because it's great to get organized and plan ahead for the week. So if you take a little bit of time on Sunday evening to plan ahead, you will save hours and hours during the week. Also, be sure to stay connected to your friends. Number 9 is be sure to keep having fun. And number 10 is forgive yourself, because, quote, perfection is the enemy of good. And done is better than not done. And I fall into this category quite a bit and being a perfectionist in many ways. But for me, what Milo says, and I think the ultimate key to being able to have it all and have a successful career, relationship, and being a fabulous parent is to really understand the difference between having resources and being resourceful. And a lot of people don't know the difference. Of course, we will all do better with more resources, more money, more staff. If I had nannies, if I had a cleaning crew, if I had a personal assistant, of course, no one's arguing that. But there are ways to be resourceful. There are ways to barter to get people to help you out. There are ways to have access to things. We forget the public library, what they are carrying. Not only are you able to check out books, you can check out DVD series. You can learn. They have workshops at the public libraries now where you can learn a variety of things to help you in everything you need to do. If you need additional computer skills, they're running classes everywhere. Just check in with your local public library and see what they have for free that can help you. There are nonprofit organizations that are there. If you have a specific need, they're there. I can't tell you how many times that I have, for example, said to myself, I wish I had an invention that did X, Y, Z. I think of it, And then I go to Amazon and I type that in and I find somebody has invented it. Some of the simplest things you could ever imagine. Anything like, I wish I had a hook I can put on my eyeglasses so I could hook it to my purse and I would never lose my eyeglasses. Boom, there it is. I wish I had a stand for my water bottle so I could have it and I wouldn't tip it over and mess up my computer. Boom, there it is. So there are different ways to being resourceful is actually even more important than having resources, because the truth is at any given moment we could lose it all.
The guy that invented the paperclip, can you imagine that? Fiddling around with a little piece of metal and creating a paperclip and trying it out, and it works. And then can you imagine the guy that's got the patent on the paperclip?
Right.
Must be like a banker now.
I might even have to look that up to see where they're at.
Wow, I guess we could. I guess we can't reinvent the paperclip, though.
No. And the patent, I mean, just if you've got a great idea, really the difference is between following through with that great idea. But you can find a lot of amazing things out there in the marketplace.
Yeah.
I just want to say this to whoever needs to hear it. Most of the time, 99.99% of the time, you are not the first person facing the problem in front of you. You are not the first person facing that specific problem in front of you. I know when we are finding challenges, we feel like, gosh, nobody else is going through this. And that may be true within your inner circle. Maybe you don't know anyone who's facing a particular disease or a particular challenge with your child or with your career, but somebody out there has been in that exact position, and there will be resources out there for them. They will give you advice. There are Facebook groups that you can type in. For example, we were talking about alopecia. Alopecia support group. Where to find wigs, where to find things that can help you with this. Also, maybe self-esteem building courses. You have other people out there who are going through what you're going through, and finding them and creating that support network is everything.
My mother created a bunch of these little woven, like little wool caps for the folks at the Moffitt Center that had the chemotherapy and the hair would fall out. And these were nice little hand-woven, crocheted little caps. But they looked forward to it. They'd go over there to Tampa and they'd pass them out because people liked them. I guess for the first time ever, you don't want to be bald. The first time you have to be.
Right.
But if you've got something you put on, the head does get a little cold, even in Florida. But the little skull cap type of the woven headwear are really good and appreciative by those folks with the chemotherapy problems.
And there's so many great people out there helping those in need.
And it makes a whole lot of difference to them, too. It makes them feel real good.
Oh, it sure does. And there's some great resources out there as far as that's concerned. But I think the key piece to this, and just again talking about the working mother, the key is having a quality support system in place. And that's what a lot of folks don't think about. What is your support system? If you think, when I was raising my own son in the middle of Manhattan, and I had to have a support network. I was traveling a lot. I had a small child, and I had to, everybody told me I was crazy. You can't be a single woman in the middle of Manhattan. And I said, I have a support team. And that support team can be a mother, a sister, a father, a brother, an uncle. It could be neighbors. It could be paid caregivers. It could be somebody where, as neighbors, you are swapping and taking care of each other's children so the other person has a time to go out. It's about having a solid support system is the only way that you're going to have success as a mother, as a lover, and as a parent. It really has to be. And so many people are making decisions. Should I move away for this job? It pays $10,000 more a year, but I'm going to have no family near me. I'm going to have no friends. It's going to cost me a fortune to live there. It's going to cost me a fortune for caregivers. I had to pay $240 a day for a nanny to watch my son on overnight trips. $240. That was Manhattan. This is about 2014, 2013. $240 a day. And I had someone staying with my child because it was, $10, 24 hours. In some cases, they were charging $20 an hour. So you have to really think about, if I make that change, what happens to my support system? So, food for thought.
All right.
All right.
It's amazing how our intentions mix into all of our well-being, because we can send ourselves in the wrong direction with the wrong intentions.
Absolutely.
But if you continue to seek what your intentions are, it's not that hard to do. Once you get your intention set, then of course you'll be out there just like you are now. You're still going to have to, watch out for the negativity out there, but keep your path nice and straight and narrow, and you won't do too bad anyway, because you're out there trying. You're doing it.
That's right. And the key thing here is to remember that you're not lazy. If you're waking up and you're unmotivated and you're feeling lazy, there is nothing wrong with you. You just have impotent goals that are not inspiring you to get up every morning. There's nothing wrong with you. It's the goals that you have. They're not inspiring you anymore. And it's key to always have passion in your life, to find your passion, especially if you're a busy working mom. Even if it's a hobby, please go for it. It could be anything from volunteering to reading, gardening, walking, camping, doing arts and crafts, swimming. And saying I don't have time and saying I don't have money is not an excuse. You can find free versions of the activities that you love to do. Again, be resourceful. It's not about resources. It's about being resourceful. The people who know Carebag are resourceful. They come, they know that Carebag can help.
It's not what you've got. It's what you can do with what you've got.
That's right. What can you do with what you've got? Absolutely. Of course, anytime you want to set a new goal, that's key. And we need to have moments for ourselves. Like for me, I enjoy episodic television like you can't imagine. I am a binge watcher. I am totally into the period drama, romance. If you would have met 25-year-old Milo, and by the way, if you don't know me, I am a horror writer and author of horror movies and books as my profession. And if you would have gone to 25-year-old Milo and say, you're going to love romance novels and films when you're in your 50s, I would have laughed you down the street. And now I get it.
Oh.
Now, all of a sudden, at this age, you just get it. And these great, ridiculous, historical period romance novels, I love them. But that may not be for you. But what is your bubblegum taffy? What is it that you love to do? A little bit, something positive, that's escapism, that doesn't cost a lot, that doesn't take anything away from your life, but that is affordable, it is doable, and it's achievable. Please find that passion. So many people I know say, I love reading books, but I haven't been reading books lately. Well, why aren't you listening to Audible? Or why aren't you, trying to at least get smaller novels that you can read 5 pages a day? You can go to the library. You can get things for free. You can, again, with streaming services, or again, you can get DVDs. If you have a DVD player, you have libraries who are giving out great series items for free. So always something out there for you.
If you got a project of something you need to fix or do, you can find instructions on just about anything. Even if you're going to have an operation soon, what kind of operation is it? You can go into YouTube and you can look at what they're going to do and really get an understanding
YouTube's everything.
of it.
I will tell you, the best $11.99 that I spend a month is YouTube Premium to get rid of all the ads. So I go onto YouTube and I can look up anything, and I will sit there for an hour, and there are no ads, ladies and gentlemen. YouTube Premium is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I am not being paid by anyone for that. That is just truly an endorsement from the heart. And you can learn anything. You can find new hacks. The more time saving, like if I needed to learn how to do a hem in a moment's notice, I can go on YouTube and find that. I do agree that if you aren't using YouTube on a daily basis, you are missing out on opportunities for growth.
Wow.
So we talked about setting goals. We talked about finding your passion. I love this one statement from Tony Robbins, and he always says, we overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in a decade. So we overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in a decade. So keep that in mind when you're looking and evaluating as to where you are today and where you want to be.
Well, on television, everything comes to a resolve within 30 minutes, and the whole show is happily ever after.
Not in my line of business.
Right, not in real life, right?
We've got final girls who keep coming back for more. That's the great thing about horror. I mean, I've got the Jason Voorhees and the Michael Myers. Our villains never die, so we can keep going more and more. And it just seems like it's such a great allegory for life. As a horror writer, people might think that I'm dark and might be negative. It's a complete opposite, because if you work in the dark, you have to live in the light. Yeah. So I am a complete self-help junkie. I love exploring ways to live in the present, live in the now. That's why I love topics such as this, and how people can really take that moment, feel grateful for what they have today, and to be able to be a better person and to give more to the universe, because living is giving, and giving is living.
Funny you should mention that. Funny you should mention that, because see, folks out there who love to support nonprofit organizations.
Yes.
Look at Careology. Look at Carebag. What an organization they have there. The situation where people can get these products, like diapers, adult diapers. Yeah, women with babies out there. There are homeless kids and homeless families out there. Diapers are needed. But sometimes when we get old, we need them again.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And there's other products too. Like you don't think nothing about a toothbrush or toothpaste, but you got it, don't you? You might not necessarily realize how fortunate you are because you've got all that.
And the key is, for those of us who have grown children, diapers are very expensive now.
Oh, yeah.
They are very, very expensive. You can't even imagine based on what we paid for them when our children were young. So keep that in mind.
And if you remember the cloth diapers, we used to wash them by hand, or the old Ringer washing machines.
That's right.
And diapers were not something you could just tape up and throw away like they can today. And that's what brings the price up high, is all the packaging and all the tape and all the manufacturing of all these diapers, which folks can help.
Yes.
They can help Carebag with these diapers, adult diapers or baby diapers. If you've got a whole bunch of them, or you just want to make a donation, you go to givecarebag.com.
That's right. Givecarebag.com. And any donation, $5, $25, $100, this organization spends their money so wisely. Again, an all-volunteer organization, platinum rated. It's a really, really great organization. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't. So, again, givecarebag.com. And as we're closing out, we only have a few moments left. We're talking about having it all. And one thing we didn't talk about yet is about having a romantic relationship. So I want to talk about this. Number one, did you know that Jennifer Lopez is all about affirmations? And I just read that she says over and over every day, I am youthful and timeless at every age. I am youthful and timeless at every age. And if you know Jennifer, she sleeps 10 to 11 hours a night. She doesn't touch caffeine, alcohol, drugs. She lives as clean as she can. But I am youthful and timeless at every age. If that's not the affirmation for you, find one that works. And believe it or not, getting those positive images and positive words into your subconscious makes a huge difference every day. But let's talk about relationships very quickly. 6 reasons why relationships fail. Number 1, competing priorities. Number 2, stress, demands, and expectations. 3, failure to meet core timelines. Number 4, physical fluctuations. Number 5, loss and inner conflict. And number 6, language that triggers emotions and meanings from the past. And that's where that's divorce rate in America. For the first marriage, the divorce rate is anywhere from 41% to 51%, whereas a third marriage is anywhere from 73 to 74%. And the top causes of marriage failure are, number 1, communication problems, sexual infidelity or loss of sexuality, and not spending enough time together. So what are the signs of a great relationship, especially for those of you who might be in the dating phase or really are happily single and just want to think about this in case they decide to engage in a relationship again in the future? But you know you're in a great relationship when you continue to be curious about the other person. where your conversations are not stale, where you're still asking questions. I don't care if you've been with somebody for 30 years. If you're still interested about a period of their life where you have questions, that is a sign that this is a good relationship, right?
All right.
And also that you love everything about each other, even their flaws, even their quirks. I know that's one of the funnest things about my husband and I. He is a Virgo. I am a triple Scorpio. That's probably all you need to know.
Yeah,
and when it comes,
that's all you need to know.
That's
all
all
right.
you need to know. He is grounded and he is practical and he is exact. And my head is in the sky and he just holds on to my ankles while I am floating in the clouds. And sometimes it can be a challenge. Right now we're trying to buy a television. And it's hysterical, and we should have a show. But there are other things in it when it comes to the really important things and how we approach issues and challenges together. It's an amazing team. So again, you love everything about each other, even your differences. Number 3, you look forward to a future together. That goes without saying. Can you see yourself with this person 20 years from now? If not, you may have to reevaluate your relationship. You make sacrifices for each other. You're affectionate with each other. You're not cutting with your words. And you can also feel open to say what's on your mind. You communicate. You don't let things fester. You have fun together because fun is very key in a relationship. It can't be all business, and that's why it's important to have date nights or make new memories with the family. Variety, again, is one of the 6 human needs, and it's really important in relationships to keep things exciting. And it could be doing something new together, like taking salsa lessons together. After being married for 25 years, you might want to take dancing lessons, and you can laugh at each other going to a Fred Astaire or a dance studio and let's go learn hip-hop dancing. I mean, that's what Groupon is for, ladies and gentlemen. If you have no ideas what to do with your spouse or your significant other, please go to Groupon. They'll give you a million ideas. Also, being vulnerable with each other is very key. Emotional intimacy is the hallmark of that. So our relationships are really the product of what we're willing to put into it. And that goes for our relationship with our children and with our spouses. And you know, the key thing in this day and age is to be present with them. So if you are at the dinner table and your husband is telling you, or your wife is telling you what's happening in their day, and you're really going through the laundry list in your head and you're not listening to what they're saying, they can sense that. And that right there is a part of what's happening in our society.
If you're studying or practicing Careology, you might want to start with each other. Think about that, folks. Right?
Yes, that's
where
true.
it starts. Because starts at home, starts around you. The people around you, the people you live with, the people you work with, your family, of course.
I mean, let's do a little homework assignment in our last minute here, and that is, how about we wake up tomorrow and decide we're going to do something unexpected for our partners, our children, our bosses, our coworkers. We're going to do something pleasant and unexpected that's positive for them.
All right.
And let's see how that reaction comes. So
let us know next week.
Yes, let us know next week. Let Roxy know when she comes back. But I wanted to answer the question, can we have it all, ladies? And the answer is yes, because the secret to having it all is knowing that you already have it.
The Science of Caring, Careology, presented by Carebag. And to help out, visit www.carebaginc.com. No, GiveCarebag.com.
GiveCarebag.com. That's right, GiveCarebag.com, and tell Roxy Milo sent you.
And this is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast, webcaster to the world. It's 7 o'clock right